She said, punching down on someone requires you to think less of them. And I know him, and he doesn't. He doesn't punch up, he doesn't punch down, he punches lines, and he's a master at his craft. That's what she said. And when she did that, the trans community dragged that bitch all over Twitter. For days, they was going in on her, and she was holding her own because she's funny. But 6 days after that wonderful night I described to you, my friend Daphne killed herself.
Yes, guys, what's going on, people? Welcome to Out the Box podcast with myself, Jago.
How you all doing, people? It's J&G News. Different setting you're seeing me in for today, you know what I mean? But shout out the box, we are here.
And you know who it is already, innit? Like, I'm sure you know who I am. To people that don't, Manlike, get used to that. Let's do this.
Come on, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
So, this is the first of many episodes of conversations, debates, opinions looked at, facts and statistics and that.
Yeah.
And what we're going to be looking at the beginning is freedom. So at the moment, there's a lot of things going on, and it seems like a lot of the freedoms that we took for granted only 5-10 years ago are now being removed and taken away from us.
Yes.
One of the most important being freedom of expression and freedom of language. So first of all, we're going to look at Dave Chappelle, which is the biggest issue at the moment with expression and language. So we're going to watch a little bit of the closer and get through it from there. Jeez.
Yeah, mate.
Okay.
Cheers.
Daphne Dorman is the name. I would do 18 shows in the Bay Area, sometimes in Oakland and Dirty Hood nightclub, and she would be there, a white trans woman, laughing loud and hard at everything I said, especially the trans jokes. It's very puzzling, because she was obviously trans. And one night after one of the shows, I met her. And what it was, turns out, it was her dream to be a comedian, and I was her hero. It's very moving. I could not dislike somebody that felt that way about me. We became fast friends. And when I made that special Sticks and Stones, right as it was coming out, I happened to be in San Francisco and I wanted to do a show, but I needed an opening act. And I remembered that trans woman I had met. So I called her on the phone. And I called her myself. I said, hey, Daphne, this is Dave Chappelle. She couldn't believe it. And I go, I'm in San Francisco. And then she started saying a bunch of wild stuff. I was like, relax now. I don't want any pussy. I was, I was calling because I'm doing a show and I need an opening act. And I was wondering if you'd open the show. And she was like, fuck yeah. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but this woman had only done stand-up comedy 8 times in her life. This is little to no experience. And now she's about to open a show for what many call the GOAT. Oh my God, she is funny. I pulled her aside and I said, you're hilarious. I didn't know that when you were on stage. I said, you're doing some things wrong, but I can help you. I said, anytime I'm in San Francisco, why don't you open a show for me and I'll just try to give you some pointers, see if you can't work this thing out. And she said, are you serious? She wrote a tweet that was very beautiful, and what she said was, it was almost exactly what she said. She said, punching down on someone requires you to think less of them. And I know him, and he doesn't. He doesn't punch up, he doesn't punch down, he punches lines, and he's a master at his craft. That's what she said. Beautiful tweet, beautiful friend. That took a lot of heart to defend me like that. And when she did that, the trans community dragged that bitch all over Twitter. For days, they was going in on her, and she was holding her own because she's funny. But 6 days after that wonderful night I described to you, my friend Daphne killed herself. Oh, yeah. It's a true story. My heart was broken. Yeah, it wasn't the jokes. I don't know if it was them dragging her. I don't know what's going on in her life, but I bet dragging her didn't help. I was very angry at them. I was very angry at her. I felt like Daphne lied to me. She always says she identified as a woman, and then one day she goes up to the roof of a building and jumps off and kills herself. Clearly. Only a man would do some gangster shit like that.
Yo.
So what are you saying about that? Just as an outlook. Anything offensive in that? Is that got anything?
No, I don't think it does.
I believe that if you've seen Dave Chappelle's humor before, then you know that he never steps over the line, and creatively he's just making a joke. And in freedom of speech, you should be allowed to make a joke without scrutiny to the point of, you know, cancel culture.
Yeah.
No, but I do think, yeah, that like freedom of speech is kind of going out the window right now, isn't it? Like, obviously, with the way people are carrying on. You see what I'm saying? I don't personally think there was anything offensive in that. As you said, he's a master of his craft, and he's just made a joke. You know what I mean? Really and truly. You know what I mean? And by what he said, from what we just listened to, you know what I mean? Like, understand it like this, peeps. This lady was a trans woman, and her own people dragged her so bad through, yeah, like on Twitter, that she committed suicide. But then they're trying to fight for equality. I just find it a bit mad. I just think, like, don't get me wrong, fight for what you want to fight for. Just do it in a different way. Try and talk to the right people. That's all. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to cause a madness or anything like that. I just think that, like, maybe they need to talk to some people. Like, you need to have to sit down and have a conversation, because, like, the dragging and that's not going to help, and all it's going to be is more people are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, fully. So just like GMT was saying, Dave Chappelle is a comedian. This is what he's done all his life. He has seen different aspects of life and just made it into comedy, but into learned comedy.
Can I just add, prior to him doing this, if you look at his like previous comedy, I don't just watch Dave Chappelle. I watch several different comedians and, you know, people in the creative space.
I watch loads of different comedians.
He's made jokes about Black people, Asian people, like,
white people,
so many different peoples of different origins, creeds, colors,
cultures,
different ways of life. So it's not. I don't think it's a personal blight to the trans community or the LGBT community in any sort of way at all. I think he was just making a joke, and it may have been taken out of context. And now, due to how cancel culture exists,
it's blown up to what it is.
They're into becoming something a lot bigger and nastier than what it exactly is. Because I've watched so many insights now with people from the LGBT community who are comedians that have said themselves, like, on a personal level, like, of knowing Dave Chappelle, like, he's one of the most loving, kind, loyal, caring people, understanding people that you could ever, like, encounter.
You know, to be fair, his jokes have got more cleverer and more mature, rather than what he was doing before. It was more direct, more, you know, abusive before. So
out there in your face, sort of.
Yeah. So this article here, Caitlyn Jenner, which we all know, probably one of the icons in the transgender community, and Dave Chappelle has done a couple of bits on her as well within his comedy.
He has.
She's come out and said that, you know, defends him and says that, you know, they shouldn't be attacking him like that.
I don't think they should be attacking anyone apart from the people they believe that can actually change views or that can actually do something for them.
Yeah.
Attacking everyone on Twitter.
Dave Chappelle also did say that his joke was based towards changing the narrative of what people can say. It wasn't based towards the blight of any particular people. So the how it's gone out of context and it's gone very far. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, even in that special, at the beginning, more or less, he said that, you know, he's got a problem with this new gender hype, because he said he's got a wife and kids, and he, you know, a man's a man and a woman's a woman. Like that's the two genders. So him, I mean, because he's old school, man. He come from my generation, my dad's generation. You know, we all understand that there is that. And so for this new age, you know, there is always going to be conflicts. And, you know, there's people that can talk about it, and there's people that just, you know, just sit in it. But at the end of the day, you know, from my point of view, there's a right and a wrong. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I do hear what you're saying.
After doing a special, there was a lot of energy, bad energy from the trans community.
There was bags of energy, mate.
And there was
bags of energy.
An organised walkout by one of the trans employees, and she basically tried to get together 1,000 people, was it, to walk out?
Okay.
Of Netflix for a couple hours. And the thing was, they were all working from home anyway, so I don't know what they did. They might have turned their computer screens the other way, or maybe not logged in. This person here, Ashley Preston, is the trans that called out the head of Netflix based on the closer.
Right.
So just a bit of understanding from my side. The trans community have been formed and they're trying to come up just like any other community would, but they're using a certain weapon that no one else has used, which is the cancelling culture. Which means that if they're not happy with something, you know, they want to cancel someone. Whereas, you know, other communities such as the black community, the female community, all these other people have been trying to come up kind of fought quite genuinely for their cause.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's come out and said that, you know, there's an issue with the whole situation, and that they want changes to be made on Netflix. What do you think of that? What do you think of that?
I don't think, well, to be honest, Netflix obviously have their board, and their board have a way of doing things. I don't think they're actually going to change. I don't believe they will change. They might pull a couple things, but it's not going to be anything of mad relevance.
I believe if that was to happen, it'd be a very slippery slope, because if we were to look at Netflix, so a lot of people use VPNs to watch Netflix in several different countries. Then if you start to do Dave Chappelle, then what's to say Eddie Murphy's not going to be next? And then not just people of color who are comedians, but Bill Burr, you know, several of like, it gets to a point that everything then gets censored. So then what is then okay? And then are you then supposed to feel bad because you might like comedy that may offend some people, but isn't comedy always down to is subjective of the person who listens to it, just like music, just like art, just like a game, just like anything that you would, just like anything in life that you have. Like, for example, you buy a mobile phone, it's because you wanted to buy it. You watch a comedy special because you like the comedy that person puts out. So then you're not really, that would be counterproductive and wouldn't really be catering to the audience of Netflix. So on a business perspective, no, I can't see that happening.
Wouldn't work at all. Yeah. I mean, the funniest
on a business sense, you know,
the funniest UK comedian at the moment is Jimmy Carr, mate.
Yeah. And
the most offensive.
There is times he can tell a joke.
This guy, man, he goes so deep, man.
He does go in.
He's a serious comedian in that.
Like, there are comedians that do hit that line, innit? Like, there are quite a few that hit that line, and some are really good at it. Some ain't.
That's just the humor though. And it's like I was saying with Dave Chappelle. If you've seen Dave Chappelle before, you should know what a humor is. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not like, if you go to a Dave Chappelle show, all right, if you've never seen his humor before, okay, you might be shocked by what you hear because it might not be something you heard before. But if you've heard his stuff before, it's nothing. It shouldn't shock any sort of listener or viewer of the content of what he listens to, because they like they like the jokes that he says, and they understand that it's portrayed in a joking manner. There's all different types of people that go and watch Dave Chappelle. Like he was saying, you know, the amount of people in the LGBT community that still avidly watch his show and still avidly support him, and he said on one of his insights that after this situation, every person that he knows from that community has been positive towards him, on and offline, that he knows personally. So to me, I don't see that as someone that had any blight in what he was saying.
Yeah.
No, I don't either.
And then off of that, the walkout happened, and there were a few Dave Chappelle supporters that popped up as well. One of them holding a sign saying, "Dave is funny."
Isn't that the guy that kind of got attacked and then they tried to reverse it?
Yes, indeed. So they took his post, ripped it apart, gave him back the pulp, the timber, and then started shouting weapon. This is a tactic.
See, this is what I'm talking about, and it like, don't get me wrong, fight for what you want to fight for, but I just believe you're going about it. Some of you, not all of you, some of you may be going about it in the wrong way, with this sort of like attacking everyone and doing things like that. Because there's
a small minority that are trying to make the majority seem as if they agree, and it's not the case.
Mad. And they made demands as well on the day.
Which
I mean, this is first start. Like, what type of people make demands? Kidnappers, terrorists. Who else make demands? Anyway, so they demanded that there needs to be a more safe and fairer working environment within Netflix. And within that, they stated that they wanted a pay rise for the trans Netflix workers.
And off what you're saying, they also did say, when they said literally what you just directly quoted, that if it's not a safe working environment, then how come the only person that's not allowed in the building is me?
That's what they said,
which is like, and not only that, you're making these sort of demands, but the thing that gives me the most joke, you want, say for example, we'll use that term, they want a pay rise for the trans workers that work at Netflix. There's not just trans workers at Netflix. Like, what is there a pay hierarchy in Netflix? Like, if you get what I mean. So if what I'm trying to say is, if you've got two people, they do the same job. One is trans, and one isn't. What is the one that isn't getting more money for you to want a pay rise?
Where's the equality?
No, that's what I was saying. Like, there's no equality in that sense. So you are right, and then that would cause uproar in an office anyway, because you're segregating people by doing that and creating a hierarchy, as you said.
And all that's going to do is just going to me, if Netflix are like, okay, like you can get your pay rise, right? And they get their pay rise, then ain't other people going to moan saying, well, how comes they get a pay rise and we don't? And it's going to cause another uproar. So I don't see why they're going to want to cause problems for themselves as a big company like Netflix.
See what I'm saying? They wouldn't do that. It would just cause too much uproar within the business themselves and mess up their infrastructure. So
man,
it has to be something that they would delve down into doing.
So this next article here, which you can just type into Google, DuckDuckGo, wherever you want to go, put in her name, the name of the trans, and he's been exposed, obviously being a racist and a homophobic themselves. So there was tweets that he done a few years back, 2017 it was. Being very homophobic against one guy who's obviously gay guy, and racist to a couple of Asian people as well. Obviously, Asian people in the scene, innit? But he went like, the tweets were so like disgusting, like spiteful, very like, it's trying to be as disgusting as possible. There wasn't any kind of well, is this person actually that, or is this person just having a bad day and ranting?
Yeah.
I mean, one thing for me, I know if I was going to any sector, yeah, and I knew that I was quite a loudmouth, and there was stuff on me on the internet, yeah, or that I had done, I would have deleted all of that stuff first. Before I even started, I would have said nothing.
No, bruv, like,
Everything.
if you, see, to me, if you have got that sort of stuff out there, bruv, like, you can delete all you want. Don't mean to say someone else is going to delete it. Bruv, just don't open your mouth, innit? Because you're going to get found out.
Yeah, true.
Just don't open your mouth.
Once you put something on the internet, even if you delete
It stays there forever.
If somebody wants to find it, they're going to find it. And the thing is, like,
man.
I don't want to say it's karma, but like, you can't sit there and try and cancel someone and expose someone when you just said, you know, he said these disgusting, insightful, horrible tweets, you know, about Asian people and other people in the community and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't really give you any sort of like foot to stand on. You can't really be the one who's like saying that you can cancel someone else if you've done, essentially, you've got dirt on yourself. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Definitely.
So it's just, yeah. I just if I'd have something on me and I'm going into a sector to open my mouth and be loud and try and cause certain things to happen, really and truly, me personally, I wouldn't get involved because I knew, like, because obviously it could get found out and then all of a sudden you're no longer as credible as you want to make out to me.
Yeah.
So people, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Instagram, all socials are in the link description. I'll let these people talk, but for me, I am out. Manlike B.Dot is gone.
What's good? We appreciate your time here today. Thank you for popping in. Thank you for your insights. You know, your opinion is valid. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Go hit us up over on our Twitters. Obviously, you might see me over on YouTube. We're everywhere. Out of the box. We're gone. Bow.
Yes. Big up yourselves, everyone, all the time, every time, man. Thanks for watching. Make sure you leave comments, man. We want to hear your opinions, man. I know some of them gonna agree with me, some of them gonna agree with him, some of them gonna agree with him. Then we're gonna have some other comments. Let's put it all in there. Good energy. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like, and make sure you share the damn thing.
Big red button.
Peace. Out of the box.
Wow.
OTB,
baby.